You're scrolling through social media right now, watching someone half your age flashing designer watches, luxury cars, and exotic vacations. Your stomach drops. That familiar sting hits you, the comparison trap, the question that haunts you at 3 a.m. What am I doing wrong with my life? Here's what's killing you inside. You've been lied to. Everything you think you know about wealth is backwards. The flashy lifestyle you're chasing? It's not wealth. It's wealth destruction in disguise. What if I told you that the real millionaires, the ones building generational wealth, are living in your neighborhood right now? They're driving past you in ordinary cars, shopping at the same grocery stores, and you'd never guess they're worth millions. What if the secret to wealth isn't what you buy, but what you don't buy? What if everything you've been taught about money is keeping you broke? Today, we're about to shatter every myth you believe about wealth. We're going to expose the hidden psychology of real millionaires. And by the end of this journey, you'll have the blueprint that separates the wealthy from the wannabes. This transformation is based on groundbreaking research into America's wealthy. Not the celebrities, not the trust fund babies, the self-made millionaires who built their fortunes from nothing. What we discovered will shock you. The average millionaire doesn't look like what you think. They don't act like what you think. And they definitely don't spend like what you think. This isn't just information. This is your wake-up call. Your roadmap from financial mediocrity to true wealth. This is the difference between playing rich and being rich. We're going to take this journey together, one powerful lesson at a time. We're going to rewire your brain, challenge every assumption, show you exactly how ordinary people become extraordinary wealth builders. Here's what we're covering today. First, we'll meet the real millionaires and destroy the Hollywood stereotype forever. Then we'll dive deep into the frugality framework that builds fortunes. We'll explore the time, energy, and money triangle that separates winners from losers. We'll expose the car trap that's keeping you broke. We'll discuss the family wealth killers that destroy generational success. We'll reveal the affirmative action advantage you never knew existed. We'll help you find your wealth-building niche. And finally, we'll compare the millionaire makers versus the inheritance destroyers. Let's begin this journey, one chapter at a time. Chapter 1. Meet the real millionaire. Who is the millionaire next door? Right now, you're thinking of someone in a three-piece suit, driving a Bentley, living in a mansion? Stop. That image just cost you your financial future. The real millionaire is your neighbor Bob. He's 57 years old. He drives a 7-year-old Honda Accord. His house is nice, but not extraordinary. He wears jeans and polo shirts. He shops at Costco. He cuts his own grass. And he's worth $2.3 million. Here's what Bob knows that you don't. Wealth isn't about looking rich. Wealth is about being rich. And these are completely different games. The looking rich game is about impressing people you don't even like with money you don't have. The being rich game is about building assets that work for you while you sleep. Bob chose the being rich game 25 years ago. While his friends were upgrading cars every 3 years, Bob was upgrading his investment portfolio. While his neighbors were renovating kitchens to impress guests, Bob was renovating his financial future. Here's the millionaire profile that will change everything for you. The average millionaire is 57 years old. They've been married to the same person for 28 years. They have 2.7 children, live in a house worth less than $400,000. 70% of them have never spent more than $400 on a watch. 50% have never spent more than $1,000 on a suit. But here's where it gets interesting. They didn't inherit their wealth. 80% of millionaires are first-generation wealthy. They built it themselves. From nothing. They're teachers, engineers, managers, small business owners. They're not celebrities. They're not lottery winners. They're not day traders who got lucky. They're disciplined wealth builders who played the long game. The difference between them and you isn't intelligence. It's not luck. It's not even income. It's psychology. It's the way they think about money every single day. While you're thinking about what to buy next, they're thinking about what to build next. While you're focused on cash flow, they're focused on net worth. While you're optimizing for today, they're optimizing for decades. This is the millionaire mindset shift. This is where your transformation begins. You don't need a higher salary to build wealth. You need a wealth builder's brain. You don't need more money coming in. You need less money going out and more money staying in. The millionaire next door discovered something powerful. The gap between what you earn and what you spend is where wealth is born. That gap is your wealth creation zone. And most people have no idea this zone even exists. Chapter 2. The Frugality Framework. What if I told you that frugality isn't about being cheap? What if frugality is actually the ultimate wealth superpower? Here's what's been programmed into your brain. Frugal equals boring, frugal equals missing out, frugal equals living a smaller life. This programming is bankrupting you. Real frugality isn't about deprivation. Real frugality is about intention. It's about spending money on what matters and eliminating money on what doesn't. It's about being the CEO of your own financial life instead of a mindless consumer. The millionaires discovered something revolutionary. Every dollar has a job. Most people are terrible managers of their money employees. Here's how the wealthy think about money. Money is not meant to be spent. Money is meant to be deployed. When you spend money, it's gone forever. When you deploy money, it goes to work and brings friends back. The frugality framework has 3 levels. Level 1 is elimination frugality. This is cutting the obvious waste. The subscriptions you forgot about. The daily coffee that costs more per ounce than printer ink. The convenience purchases that add up to car payments. This level saves you 5 to 15% of your income. Level 2 is optimization frugality. This is getting more value from every dollar. Buying quality once instead of cheap repeatedly. Negotiating every recurring bill. Choosing experiences over things. Shopping with a plan instead of shopping with emotions. This level saves you another 10 to 20% of your income. Level 3 is strategic frugality. This is where millionaires live. This is understanding the difference between assets and liabilities. This is choosing to look poor to become rich. This is delayed gratification as a wealth-building strategy. This level can save you 30 to 50% of your income. Here's the frugality secret that changes everything. The money you don't spend today becomes the wealth you have tomorrow. Every $100 you save and invest at a 7% return becomes over $500 in 25 years. That means your daily $5 coffee habit isn't just costing you $5. It's costing you $25 in future wealth. Every single day. That coffee is literally stealing your retirement. But here's what separates millionaire thinking from poverty thinking. Millionaires don't focus on the $5 coffee. They focus on the $5,000 lifestyle creep. They focus on the $50,000 car upgrade. They focus on the $500,000 house upgrade. They understand leverage, both financial leverage and frugality leverage. Small changes and big expenses create massive changes in wealth accumulation. The frugality framework isn't about living smaller, it's about living smarter. It's about being intentional with every dollar, so that every dollar can be intentional with creating your freedom. Chapter 3. The Time, Energy, and Money Triangle. Here's the wealth equation that schools never taught you. Time plus energy plus money equals wealth. But here's the catch. Most people are optimizing for the wrong variable. You've been taught to optimize for money. Get the highest salary, make the most income. Chase the biggest paycheck. This is the employee mindset, and it's keeping you broke. Millionaires optimize for time. Not just their time, but their money's time. They understand that time is the secret ingredient in wealth building. Time plus compound interest equals financial freedom. But here's where it gets deeper. Millionaires also optimize for energy, mental energy, emotional energy, physical energy. They understand that wealth building requires sustained focus over decades, and you can't sustain what you can't energize. Let me show you how this triangle works. The average person spends 40 hours a week making money and 0 hours a week managing money. The millionaire spends 40 hours a week making money and 10 hours a week managing money. That extra 10 hours of energy investment creates exponential wealth returns. The average person spends their free time consuming entertainment. The millionaire spends their free time consuming education. They read about investing. They study market trends. They network with other wealth builders. They treat wealth building like a part-time job that pays better than their full-time job. Here's the time secret that millionaires discovered. You can either spend time making money, or you can spend time making your money make money. The first strategy has a ceiling. Second strategy has no ceiling. But here's the energy part that most people miss. Wealth building is mentally exhausting if you're doing it wrong. If you're trying to time the market, pick individual stocks, or chase get-rich-quick schemes, you'll burn out fast. Millionaires discovered the energy-efficient approach to wealth building. They automate their investments. They buy and hold for decades. They focus on broad market index funds. They set it and forget it. This approach requires minimal ongoing energy while delivering maximum long-term returns. The energy they save on investment complexity, they invest in income complexity. They focus on becoming better at their careers. They develop side businesses. They create multiple income streams. They put their energy where it creates the highest return. Here's the triangle in action. Time is your most valuable asset. Energy is your most renewable resource. Money is your most powerful tool. When you align all three toward wealth building, magic happens. You stop trading time for money and start trading money for time. Stop spending energy on consumption and start investing energy in creation. Stop using money to buy things and start using money to buy freedom. Chapter 4. The Transportation Trap. Your car is stealing your wealth, and you're thanking it for the ride. Right now, sitting in your driveway is probably the biggest wealth destroyer you own. It's not just costing you the purchase price. It's not just costing you the monthly payment. It's costing you compound interest on decades of wealth building. Here's the math that will shock you. The average American spends over $500,000 on cars in their lifetime. $500,000. That's a retirement fund. That's a house. That's generational wealth. It's sitting in your driveway, depreciating. But here's what millionaires discovered about cars. A car is a tool, not a status symbol. A car gets you from point A to point B. Everything else is ego, and ego's expensive. The millionaire car strategy is simple. It's buy reliable, used, fuel-efficient cars with cash, drive them for 8 to 10 years. Invest the difference between a car payment and car savings every single month. Here's what this looks like in practice. Instead of a $500 monthly car payment, you buy a reliable used car for $10,000. You put that $500 per month into investments. In 30 years, that monthly investment becomes over $1 million. Your car choice just determined whether you retire as a millionaire or whether you retire broke. That's how powerful this decision is. But here's the psychology part that's even more important. When you choose not to use your car as a status symbol, you break the consumption addiction. You stop caring what strangers think about your possessions. You start caring what your future self thinks about your decisions. The millionaires we studied drive cars that are 8 years old on average. They pay cash. They do basic maintenance. They don't care about having the latest features or the newest model. They care about getting from point A to point B, while their money goes from point A to point wealthy. Here's the status secret that changes everything. Real status comes from net worth, not from car worth. Real status comes from options, not from payments. Real status comes from freedom, not from financing. When you drive a modest, reliable car, you're not being cheap. You're being strategic. You're playing the long game while everyone else is playing the monthly payment game. The transportation trap catches people who think they're building wealth, but are actually destroying wealth. Every dollar you overspend on transportation is a dollar that can't compound into real wealth over time. Choose transportation that serves your wealth goals, not your ego needs. Your future millionaire self will thank you for the ride. Chapter 5. The Family Wealth Killers. Your family might be killing your wealth. You might be killing theirs. This is uncomfortable. This is painful.
Ow.
But this is necessary. Because the number one destroyer of generational wealth isn't market crashes. It's not economic recessions. It's economic outpatient care within families. Economic outpatient care is when parents support adult children financially long past the point where it helps them. It's when love becomes enabling. It's when helping becomes hurting. Here's what happens in wealth-destroying families. Parents work their entire lives to build wealth. Then they give it to their children who never learn to build wealth themselves. The children spend the wealth instead of growing the wealth. The family fortune disappears in one generation. But here's the deeper problem. When parents provide ongoing financial support to adult children, they rob those children of the most important wealth-building skill: the ability to live below their means. Children who receive regular financial help from parents spend more than they earn because they know the safety net exists. They develop expensive tastes without developing the income to support those tastes. They become wealth consumers instead of wealth creators. The millionaire approach to family wealth is completely different. Millionaire parents teach their children to fish instead of giving them fish. They provide education opportunities, not lifestyle subsidies. They help their children buy assets, not liabilities. Here's how millionaire families transfer wealth. They pay for education that increases earning potential. They help with down payments on houses that build equity. Invest in their children's business ventures that create cash flow. They transfer wealth in ways that multiply wealth instead of consuming wealth. But here's the hardest part. Sometimes loving your family means saying no to their financial requests. Sometimes helping your family means letting them struggle through their own financial challenges. Sometimes the most generous thing you can do is refuse to enable financial irresponsibility. The family wealth conversation goes both directions. If you're receiving financial help from family as an adult, you need to understand the real cost. It's not just the money, it's your own wealth-building capability. Every dollar someone else provides is a dollar you don't learn to provide for yourself. The goal isn't to be selfish with money. The goal is to be strategic with money. The goal is to build wealth systems that work for multiple generations, instead of consumption patterns that destroy wealth in one generation. True family wealth legacy comes from transferring wealth-building knowledge, not just transferring wealth. It comes from teaching the psychology of wealth accumulation, not just providing the products of wealth accumulation. Break the economic outpatient care cycle. Build wealth systems that make your entire family financially stronger, not just financially comfortable. Chapter 6. The Affirmative Action Advantage. You have an advantage you've never considered. Your background, your experiences, your unique perspective. This is your wealth-building superpower, and most people are wasting it. Here's what millionaires discovered. You don't succeed despite your differences. You succeed because of your differences. Your unique background gives you unique insights. Your unique insights give you unique opportunities. Your unique opportunities give you unique wealth-building advantages. The affirmative action advantage isn't about quotas or policies. It's about leveraging your authentic self to create authentic value in the marketplace. It's about understanding that diversity isn't just a social good. Diversity is an economic advantage. Here's how this works in practice. If you understand a community that mainstream businesses don't understand, that's market knowledge. If you speak a language that mainstream businesses can't speak, that's competitive advantage. If you have experiences that mainstream businesses haven't had, that's innovation opportunity. Millionaires don't try to fit into existing success templates. They create their own success templates. They find the intersection between their authentic self and market opportunity. They build wealth by being authentically themselves, not by pretending to be someone else. The wealth-building lesson here is profound. Stop trying to succeed like everyone else. Start trying to succeed like you. Stop copying other people's strategies. Start creating your own strategies based on your own advantages. Here's the psychology shift that changes everything. Your differences aren't disadvantages to overcome. Your differences are advantages to leverage. Your unique perspective isn't a barrier to wealth. Your unique perspective is a pathway to wealth. The marketplace rewards uniqueness. Marketplace rewards authenticity. Marketplace rewards people who solve problems that other people can't solve or don't understand. Your background gives you problem-solving abilities that other people don't have. This applies to everything: your gender, your ethnicity, your age, your location, your education, your family background, your life experiences. All of these create unique market insights that can become unique market opportunities. The affirmative action advantage isn't about getting special treatment. It's about giving special value. It's about understanding that your authentic self has authentic market value. It's about building wealth by being yourself instead of trying to be someone else. Stop hiding your differences. Start leveraging your differences. Your unique background is your unique wealth-building advantage. Chapter 7. Finding your wealth niche. You don't need to be good at everything to build wealth. You need to be exceptional at something. This is the niche principle, and it's how ordinary people create extraordinary wealth. Here's what's been programmed into your brain. Success means being well-rounded. Success means being good at everything. This programming is keeping you poor. Right? Wealth comes from specialization, not generalization. Wealth comes from being the best at something specific, not being average at everything general. The millionaires we studied aren't Renaissance people, they're niche people. They found one thing they could do better than most people. Then they built their entire wealth strategy around that one thing. Here's how to find your wealth niche. Look for the intersection of three circles: what you're good at, what you enjoy doing, and what the market will pay for. Your wealth niche lives at the center of those three circles. But here's the secret most people miss. You don't need to be naturally talented to build a wealth niche. You need to be consistently improving. You need to be professionally obsessed. You need to turn your work into your craft, and your craft into your wealth. The niche principle works in two ways: income niche and investment niche. Your income niche is becoming so good at something valuable that people pay you premium prices for it. This could be a profession, a skill, a service, or a business. The key is focusing all your career energy on becoming exceptional at one thing instead of being average at many things. Your investment niche is becoming so knowledgeable about one type of investment that you can consistently beat average returns. This could be real estate in your local market. This could be stocks in an industry you understand. This could be a business model you've mastered. The key is deep knowledge in one area instead of shallow knowledge in many areas. Here's the niche psychology that creates wealth. When you try to appeal to everyone, you appeal to no one. When you try to be everything to everyone, you become nothing to anyone. When you focus on being the best solution for a specific problem, you become invaluable to the people who have that problem. The wealth niche strategy isn't about limiting yourself. It's about leveraging yourself. It's about turning your natural interests and abilities into market advantages. It's about building wealth by doing what you do best instead of trying to do everything. Your niche doesn't have to be glamorous. It doesn't have to be exciting. It doesn't have to impress other people. It just has to be profitable. It just has to be something you can sustain for decades. It just has to be something the market values. Find your wealth niche. Build your wealth niche. Protect your wealth niche. This is how you turn your unique abilities into uncommon wealth. Chapter 8. Wealth Creators versus Wealth Inheritors. There are two types of wealthy people: those who built wealth and those who inherited wealth, and they live completely different lives. Understanding this difference will determine your wealth destiny. The wealth creators are the first-generation millionaires. They started with nothing. They built everything. They developed the psychological muscles of wealth building. They have the discipline, the knowledge, and the habits that create and maintain wealth over decades. The wealth inheritors received wealth they didn't create. They have the money, but they don't have the mindset. They have the assets, but they don't have the psychology. And this is why most inherited wealth disappears within 3 generations. Here's the statistics that will shock you. 70% of wealthy families lose their wealth by the 2nd generation. 90% have lost it by the 3rd generation. The money doesn't disappear because of market crashes or economic disasters. The money disappears because of psychological disasters. The wealth creators understand that money is a tool. The wealth inheritors think money is a toy. The wealth creators respect money. The wealth inheritors spend money. The wealth creators make money work. The wealth inheritors make money disappear. But here's the lesson for you. You want to be a wealth creator, not a wealth inheritor? You want to build the psychological foundation of wealth, not just the financial foundation of wealth. You want to develop the habits that create wealth, not just receive the results of those habits. The wealth creator advantage is profound. You build wealth yourself, you know how to rebuild it if you lose it. When you develop wealth-building habits, those habits protect your wealth from your own poor decisions. When you earn your wealth, you value your wealth. Here's the wealth creator psychology that you need to develop. Every dollar is earned. Every dollar is respected. Every dollar is deployed strategically. Every dollar is a tool for building more dollars. The wealth inheritor psychology destroys wealth. Money is easy. Money is unlimited. Money is for spending. Money is for enjoying. The psychology turns assets into liabilities and wealth into debt. The goal isn't to avoid inheriting money. The goal is to develop wealth creator psychology, whether you inherit money or not. The goal is to build the habits and mindsets that create wealth regardless of your starting point. If you inherit wealth, think like a wealth creator. If you start with nothing, think like a wealth creator. If you have a high income, think like a wealth creator. If you have a low income, think like a wealth creator. The wealth creator mindset is the only mindset that creates and maintains wealth over time. Everything else is just temporary financial luck. Be a wealth creator. Think like a wealth creator. Act like a wealth creator. This is how you build wealth that lasts for generations, instead of disappearing in one generation. We've taken this journey together. We've destroyed the myths. We've revealed the truths. We've given you the blueprint. Now comes the hardest part: implementation. Everything you've learned today means nothing if you don't apply it tomorrow. Information without action is just entertainment. Knowledge without implementation is just intellectual masturbation. Here's your moment of truth. You now know what real millionaires actually do. You know how they think. You know how they spend. You know how they save. You know how they invest. You know how they build wealth that lasts for generations. The question isn't whether you can build wealth. The question is whether you will build wealth. The question isn't whether you have the knowledge. The question is whether you have the discipline. The question isn't whether wealth building works. The question is whether you'll work at wealth building. You are exactly where you need to be to start building real wealth. You don't need more money. You don't need more time. You don't need more knowledge. You need more action. You need more consistency. You need more patience. The Millionaire Next Door started exactly where you are right now, with a decision. A decision to live below their means. A decision to invest the difference. A decision to play the long game while everyone else played the instant gratification game. Your wealth transformation starts today, not tomorrow, not next week, not next month, today. With your next spending decision, with your next investment decision, with your next career decision, you have the blueprint. You have the knowledge. You have the power. You have everything you need to become the millionaire next door. The only question is, will you? The millionaires are waiting for you to join them. Your future self is counting on you to make the right decisions today. Your family's financial future depends on the habits you build starting right now. This is your time. This is your moment. This is your opportunity to transform from someone who dreams about wealth to someone who builds wealth. From someone who talks about financial freedom to someone who creates financial freedom. Take the first step today. Choose frugality over consumption. Choose investing over spending. Choose the long game over the short game. Choose to become the millionaire next door. Your wealth journey starts now. Make it count.